Okay, so yesterday we looked at the MOSFET operation more like qualitatively when you change the various voltages. So as we discussed yesterday, typically in a MOSFET, we take the source as the reference terminal and define the voltage of the gate and the drain with respect to the source. And as you know, the MOSFET is also a four terminal device, means the body, also the substrate is another terminal. Similarly, there is a voltage called VBS, means body with respect to source, that is also of relevance. It will come later on as we go along the course. Now, the now we qualitatively looked at when the VGS varies from minus infinity and becomes positive and exceeds the threshold voltage, that it goes into from accumulation mode into inversion mode. Okay, and it starts conducting, and after it gets into inversion mode, when we change the drain source voltage, then the channel pinches off at a certain point. Okay, the channel pinches off at a certain point, and after it has pinched off, the current flowing between the drain and source becomes independent of the voltage between the drain and the source. Okay, so and when the current flowing between two terminals is independent of the voltage across its terminals, it becomes more like a current source. It becomes a current source. So keep in mind, current source, the input output characteristic is if I is the, because it's a current source, so current is the output, and V out, V is the um, V is the voltage across the two terminals. Okay, so now let's define that. So that means between two terminals. Okay, so terminals A and B, it will behave like a current source of current I, and V here is the voltage difference between that is VA minus VB. Okay, so no matter what is the difference between this, it behaves like a constant current source of value, whatever value. Let's say I equal to 1 ampere, it behaves like this is 1 ampere. Okay, so no matter what is the voltage between. So now a MOSFET, we saw that once the channel pinches off, okay, so between the drain and the source, so let me draw that. So this is N plus, and then you have the oxide, and you have the gate, and this is the source. I'm connecting it to ground, and this is the drain, and the substrate is here, right? So once the channel pinches off, okay, once the channel pinches off, then the current between the drain and source is independent of the voltage between the drain and source. So that becomes, it behaves more like a current source at that point. And okay, it becomes like a current source between those two terminals, and the magnitude of the current source is defined by a third terminal, which is the gate terminal over here. Okay, if the gate voltage increases with respect to source, the current source value increases. So it keeps on increasing like this. Okay, but still independent of the voltage between the drain and the source. Okay, so that is our qualitative understanding, and then we'll quantify this thing, how much is the current and by how much does this increase, keep on increasing as another terminal. And we said that this device therefore acts like a voltage controlled current source. So V stands for voltage, C stands for control, C and a second C stands for current, and S stands for the source. Guntur Prashant Sukumar, can you please mute yourself? Okay. So now we'll move on to the quantitative analysis. So we call that as the derivation of the ID-VDS relationship. So the ID is defined as the current flowing between the drain and the source. So we call it as the drain current. Okay, ID, I subscript D stands for the drain current. And VDS is the voltage difference between the drain and source. After the inversion layer is formed, the gate and channel region form a parallel plate capacitor with the oxide layer as the dielectric. Okay, so we said that after the channel is formed, that means there is a channel here of negative of electrons for form of electrons in case of an NMOS. So now this is a conducting plate. So now it acts like a capacitor. The gate and this channel forms a capacitor. And we use the definition in integrated circuit called capacitance per unit area. Okay, so what is the equation for a parallel plate capacitor? For a C, for a epsilon A by D, where D is the distance between the two conducting plates and A is the area of the plate. So now therefore C by A is capacitance, which has the unit of farad per meter square. So it is called cap per unit area equal to epsilon by D. Now keep in mind here in this case, the epsilon will be the epsilon of the oxide. So therefore we define capacitance per unit area as epsilon oxide, and T naught is the oxide thickness, the height of this oxide thickness over here. So epsilon of the oxide is 3.9 times the permittivity of the free space. The permittivity of free space is given by this. So this is the overall number. Okay. Now oxide thickness, this oxide thickness is a technology dependent parameter. Okay. Now when we say a technology dependent, if you see here, I say 65 nanometer, 0.13 micron. This is actually the minimum channel length between, that means a distance, minimum distance between the source and drain that can be faithfully fabricated. Okay. Similarly, 0.13 is the minimum in this technology node. So the 65 nanometer defines the distance between the physical distance between the source and drain, or the channel length. And the oxide thickness is the thickness of the oxide. So it turns out to be 10 angstrom in case of 65 nanometer technology and 30 angstrom in terms of 0.13 micron technology. Okay, so this is the oxide thickness. As the nodes are getting smaller and smaller, the oxide thickness keeps on reducing. Okay, so now as we get to lower and lower this thing, the capacitance of course keeps on increasing. But there are other effects that happen, which is more like what happens is when you bring the two conducting plates very close to each other, there will be leakage current. Which current will also leak through the dielectric. Okay. Now in modern transistors, let's say in 28 nanometer and all, so now they don't want to make the oxide too thin, like 1 angstrom and all, then there will be too much of leakage. So what they do is they try to increase this parameter. Okay, so they go for material which has bigger and bigger relative permittivity. Keep in mind, epsilon of a material is the relative permittivity, which is called epsilon R here, and this is the permittivity of epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space, that is vacuum. Okay, so they try to keep the oxide thickness as large as possible, like 10 nanometer, 12 nanometer Intel process, or 7 nanometer Samsung process, or 5 nanometer TSMC. These are all different channel lengths. So in those, the oxide thickness is not reduced that much. But if they do not reduce the oxide thickness that much, that means my capacitance is reducing if I go for the same oxide material as the dielectric. Oxide thickness, or the dielectric thickness to be more precise. So what they do is they change the dielectric material and go for a dielectric relative permittivity, which is much bigger than that of oxide. Okay. So now, as we said, it is a field effect transistor, right? So there has to be two fields that cause the.
Can you repeat that last part again?
Can you tell me which part it is?
So as we are decreasing the channel length, the oxide thickness is also decreasing.
Yes. So what happens is that when you keep reducing the channel length, right? Now, See,
So
the
then the
oxide,
capacitance would increase.
yeah, the capacitance increases, which we want, right?
Much.
But the problem is that I will have more amount of leakage current. The current between the two conducting, think of it, if I have a capacitance where the dielectric is very, very thin, there will be leakage current. Okay, so current will leak through, so which is undesirable. So what people do is they have to minimize the leakage current. That means they want to make the conducting plates far apart by making the dielectric thicker. Now, as soon as you make the dielectric thicker, then the capacitance reduces. Okay, if the capacitance reduces, then the amount of charge also reduces. Okay, now how do we increase the distance between the two conducting plates of a capacitor, maintain the higher capacitance? So now the only option that we have is, as you can see, the equation over here is epsilon A by D. If D is increased, now to maintain the same cap, I have to increase epsilon. Okay, so if D is increased, I have to increase epsilon. So in modern 5 nanometer, 7 nanometer CMOS process, 12 nanometer, all these process, they do not use oxide. They use some other material, hafnium oxide or something. I'm not very sure of it. So I should not be quoting, but they use a material where the thickness of the oxide is still maintained probably close to 10 angstrom or 8 angstrom or something, but they increase this epsilon. The hafnium oxide has a large, probably 5 or 10 or 20 some kind of permittivity, relative permittivity. Okay. So now the transistor action.
What is the 65 nanometer technology? What is
I'm
it?
sorry?
What does it mean when you say it's 65 nanometer technology?
So I think I said that. So when we say it is a 65 nanometer technology, the distance between the source and the drain defines the channel length. Okay, distance between the source and the drain, this is the channel. This distance is the channel length. Now, a technology is defined by the minimum channel length that can be fabricated. Okay, reliably. So in 65 nanometer, you can fabricate a 65. This distance can be 65 nanometers. It can minimum can be 65. It can be more, but you cannot make it 60 nanometer or 55 nanometer. Okay. Similarly, in 0.13 micron, this distance is going to be 0.13 micron or 130 nanometer and above. It cannot be below that because your tool, manufacturing tool, defines this minimum channel length that can be. So the minimum channel length that can be fabricated reliably is called that technology. Am I clear?
It's better, less means more transistors on a small chip.
Yes, yes, and faster the circuit also. Okay, so intuitively think of it. If the channel length is shorter, right? The electron takes less time to travel. I mean, just intuitively, not really the reason for that. Somewhat a reason, but not. That's a crude way of saying it. If the distance is less, you travel faster, so the circuit becomes faster. Okay, that's how I would intuitively think of it. So as the technology scales down, your circuits become faster and faster, with some other penalty that coming in. Okay, so now let's try to quantify this. Now here I have drawn, the source is drawn. So this is the boundary of the source. Sorry, my line got messed up. So this is the drain boundary. This is where the drain ends. So therefore the channel length is starting of the origin is given over here. And this is the length L is given over here. Now what we take is we take a very small strip of material. Okay. And this, as I said, is the width of the transistor. This defines the width of the transistor. This is the width, so that has been shown. Now, what is the amount of charge that we store over here? That will define the amount of current that will flow. Okay. Okay. Now the electron over here has a velocity given by, so we define the x-axis like this. Okay, starting origin is over 0 where the source ends, and the x goes all the way to L where the drain begins. Okay, the velocity is dx by dt, that is unknown to you. Charge in this small strip is defined by dq, and the electric field here is, what is the electric field? Derivative of the voltage, dvx divided by dx. Keep in mind, vx is not velocity here. Okay, it is the voltage at that point. So derivative or rate of change of derivative is the rate of change of voltage, not rate of change, sorry. Voltage with respect to x, dvx by dx is the electric field. Okay, so capacitance of the unit strip. So we defined capacitance per unit area as Cox. Keep in mind, Cox is the capacitance per unit area. I have to multiply that with the area to get the capacitance of the strip. What is the area of the strip? W times dx. So W times dx, this is the capacitance of the unit strip. Now, charge stored in the unit strip is proportional to the overdrive voltage at that point. Okay, so if I have a certain voltage VD over here, and there is a 0 over here, at each of these points the voltage are going to drop down gradually. Okay, so it keeps on dropping down. So we define the voltage at any point x as V of x. Okay, so now if V of x is the voltage at that point, so that is defined as V of x, then the overdrive voltage is equal to the gate voltage minus this V of x, and that defines the amount of charge that is stored in this unit infinitesimally small strip of material, small strip below the gate. Okay, so the charge in that infinitesimal area is the capacitance, total capacitance, which is Cox is the capacitance per unit area. So W times, let me make it a little bigger. Okay, the area, and then the overdrive voltage. Overdrive voltage is what? VGS, the gate voltage with respect to source. Always keep in mind we measure everything with respect to the reference, and source is the reference. Overdrive voltage is VGS minus the voltage at that point, at a voltage at x, minus the threshold voltage. And I told you yesterday that I will be interchangeably using VT, VTH, and VT. Okay, and you have to use the context to interpret what it is. So these mean the same, the threshold voltage. And whenever sometimes when I use VT as a thermal voltage, I'll explicitly state that this is the thermal voltage if I have to use VT. I'll try to use mostly these two terms, okay, for the threshold voltage, but sometimes it's easier to just write one letter than to write two letters like that. So the overdrive voltage is, overdrive voltage has few names. Yesterday I mentioned that. VOV in short, overdrive voltage, or V effective, we call it an effective voltage because that is the effective voltage that defines the amount of charge. And also we call it as VDSAT. These are again three terms that I might be using interchangeably. So please make yourself familiar with that. Okay, so now the charge in that is dq equal to the capacitance C times V. C times V is VGS minus Vx minus Vt. And we put a negative sign because it is the electrons under in case of an NMOS. Okay, everybody with me on this? This already you have done, so I'm just revising it. So you already know about this. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now the electric field, what is the electric field definition? It is the derivative of the V with respect to distance, dV by dx. Now an electron, now keep in mind that the charge that is set up over here is due to the vertical field. And the electron moves from the source to the drain due to the lateral field, that is the ds, VDS. Okay. When the electron moves due to the electric field, what is the electrons? What kind of velocity is it called? Electrons move in a device by two means. What are
Drift
the two means
velocity.
you have studied?
Drift velocity.
Drift.
And
diffusion.
and semiconductor
Fusion.
diffusion. And diffusion by name means it needs a concentration gradient. You have to diffuse. Okay, so therefore you need a concentration gradient. So things will diffuse only when you have something at a very high concentration and some other at a lower concentration, and then it spreads around. Now electric field defines, so the drift velocity of the electron is given by dx by dt is the mobility of the electron times the electric field. So mobility of the electron in channel also called the surface mobility. Okay, therefore the drift current is nothing but dq by dt. Okay, so dq by dt. So now the current flowing between the drain and source is I equal to dq by dx. Dq by dt can be written like dq by dx and dx by dt. So we have already defined the dq by dx as Cox W times this. Okay, so dq divided by dx is Cox times W times the effective voltage or overdrive voltage or VDSAT. Okay, so Cox W, this is the effective voltage, and the dx by dt is the velocity, and we defined velocity is equal to mu n dvx by dt, mu n times dvx divided by dt. Okay, mu n times ex. The current has to be constant at each point along the channel, right? Why does the current has to be constant at each point along the channel?
Otherwise, charge accumulation will be there.
Charge will accumulate. Otherwise, charge is going to accumulate. This I is the drain source current or ID. And therefore, I'll put the limits. I can say that the ID equal to minus of I. I can put this minus of sign here to get rid of the electron effect. We put the minus sign because the electron was there, and it's given by this. So I can then just integrate with the limits where x goes from 0 to L and Vx goes from 0 to the drain source voltage VDS. V equal to 0 at source is at 0, and at V equal to L it is VDS. Keep in mind it is V is X is 0 and L, and at L it is a drain source voltage, and it goes gradually from 0 to VDS, and X goes from 0 to L. Okay. Okay. Integrating both sides of equation with boundary condition this, we will therefore get the current equation. If we integrate this, you will get the drain current as mu n Cox W over L VGS minus the threshold voltage, okay, times VDS minus half VDS square. Okay. So this is the drain, so the current flowing between the drain and source. Now, as a circuit designer, I will use this equation and a slight variant of this. Now I have to manipulate something. Okay, so what do I have to manipulate? I have to manipulate the current flowing through the transistor. So as a designer, what are the variables that I have under control? I can change the width of the transistor. Okay, I can change the length of the transistor, but I cannot go below the minimum length. Okay, I can change the gate source voltage because that is an electrical parameter I have control. I can change the drain source voltage. Similarly, this is again the drain source voltage. What I cannot change are the threshold voltage that is beyond our control. That is a device thing. The device engineer gives you. You cannot change the mobility, physical constant. Then you cannot change the oxide. The device engineer gives you these things. So these are the three things you cannot change. So electrically, when you are designing a circuit, we need some degree of freedom to manipulate things. And what are the freedom that we get as a designer? We get W over L, and sometimes we manipulate W over L together, and we call this something called an aspect ratio. aspect ratio of the transistor. Okay, and of course we'll manipulate the gate source and drain source voltage and achieve whatever we want to achieve, or whatever the circuit wants to do, we'll try to do that. Now the above expression for the current is expression for current in the triode region. We call this when the current is flowing in this format, we said that the transistor is in triode mode. Okay. Now when the channel when it is in triode mode, that means our picture should look like this. Channel should be present. This is the source and this is the drain. Channel should be present throughout, all the way from the source to drain. As soon as when the channel gets pinched off, what do we get? When the channel gets pinched off, we will have no channel at the drain end. So this is again the source and this is the drain. Now if I further increase the drain source voltage beyond pinch off, then this is the source and this is the drain. Channel will keep on moving like this. Okay, so the pinch off point happens closer to the source. It moves away from the drain. So what happens when the channel gets pinched off and beyond? Now if I use the same expression, okay, and when VDS is greater than VGS minus VT, okay, VDS exceeds VGS minus VT, then you will see that this is going to become a negative number. Okay. So when does the pinch off happen? Means the current is going to, sorry, not a negative number, the current will start dropping. So if I look at this expression, okay, so let's say when does pinch off happen? When VDS equal to VGS minus VT. When the drain source voltage approaches VGS minus VT, there is no channel here. The drain source voltage, so the overdrive voltage at this point, at this instantaneous point at this location, the voltage is going to be 0. Overdrive voltage is 0 if it is VGS minus VT, and therefore there cannot be any channel. So when VDS equal to VGS minus VT, we can substitute that value there. Then the current at pinch off is going to be looking like this. Okay, at pinch off, the current flowing between the drain and source is given by this, and it is independent of the voltage difference between the drain and source. So therefore, the transistor behaves like a current source between the drain and source, and the magnitude of the current source depends on this value. So the third terminal. Okay. What happens when VDS exceeds VGS minus VT? Does the current reverse its direction and reduce? If you plug in this equation, VDS greater than VGS minus VT, then you might see that it will start reversing its direction, but the current is going to, the thing is going to reduce. Okay, so the answer is no, it is not going to. So that means it stays the same, that is ID sat equal to 1 by 2 mu n Cox W over L VGS minus VT square. Okay, mu n Cox, we use another term for this. Mu n Cox is called the process transconductance parameter, Kn dash. Okay, so in the exam, I might give you either mu n Cox, mu n and Cox, mu n. In the exam, I can give you any of these. I can give you either mu n and Cox. I can give you Kn dash, which is nothing but mu n Cox. Okay. Now, sometimes I might also say we can define another thing called Kn, which is mu n Cox W over L. So please remember these things. Okay. So mu n and Cox can be given. We define something called the process transconductance parameter Kn dash, which is mu n times Cox. Sometimes we say that Kn, which is mu n Cox W over L, is I can give you this also. So in summary, what happens is that the drain current is given by this expression when the transistor is in triode region, and is given by this expression when the pinch off happens and after pinch off. Okay, this is called the saturation region. Okay, so when the voltage is, so these two cases happen when VGS is greater than VTH. Okay, if VGS is less than VTH, the transistor is in cutoff mode. Okay, so these are the things. Now keep in mind, when the transistor is in triode, that means the between the source and drain. So let me draw the picture. So if I have the source and drain given here, so I'm not writing n plus or something, and the gate is over here. When the transistor is in triode region, there is a channel present all throughout between the, that means for the channel to be present at the source end, VGS should be greater than VTH. Similarly, for the channel to be present at the drain end, can you guys see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so the channel to be present all throughout, first of all, the channel has to be present at the source. So for that, VGS has to be greater than VTH. Channel has to be present at the drain end. That means VGD has to be greater than VTH. The difference between the gate and drain should be greater than threshold. You have a channel present all throughout. Then this is triode.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So there should be a for the
Hello?
triode equation.
Sorry, did not hear you. Could not hear you properly. What is the question?
So there should be a half in front of VDS square for the triode equation of ID.
Sorry. Yes. Good point. Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is in triode mode. And then thank you for pointing that out. So this is the source and this is the drain. When the thing is in pinch off, then there is no channel present at the drain end. Okay. So now there is a channel present at the source side. So the channel is present at the source side. The condition is VGS has to be greater than V threshold. Channel has to be absent at the drain side. So VGD has to be less than V threshold. Now what is VGD? VGD is nothing but VGS minus VDS. Right? Less than V threshold. Or in other words, this becomes VDS greater than VGS minus VTH. I don't want you guys to remember this expression. Rather than that, remember this picture. And you have to see if there is a channel, if VGS is greater than threshold voltage, then there is a channel at the source end. If VGD is greater than threshold voltage, then there is a channel at the drain end. If VGD is less than threshold voltage, then there is no channel at the drain end. Okay. And VGD equal to threshold voltage, the exactly pinch off is happening at the drain, at this drain. If VGD is less than threshold voltage, then the pinch off point moves closer away from the drain point. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So basically, after the pinch off, like if we increase the VDS, the current won't increase. Like all the electrons are
Ideally,
already in motion.
ideally,
Like
ideally, yes. Ideally, it won't increase, but it will increase because the channel length keeps on reducing. Okay, so now now in triode region, we'll have two cases. We can have two cases. One is ID. This is the expression for current in the triode region. If VDS is very small, then VDS square is even smaller, right? So ID can be written by this expression. We can ignore the second term, and therefore we can only take the first term. And this is nothing between the drain and source. ID VDS divided by ID. That means the voltage difference between the drain and source divided by the current flowing between the drain and source is equal to resistance as per Ohm's law. So therefore, the resistance of the transistor is given by this if VDS is very small. Okay, and the transistor is on. Of course, VGS has to be greater than threshold voltage. So what you see is a voltage dependent resistor. So now I can vary the value of the resistance. I can reduce the resistance by increasing W. So resistance is inversely proportional to 1 by W, and resistance is directly proportional to channel length, and resistance is inversely proportional to the effective voltage. Okay, so if I want to reduce the resistance, I have to increase W, reduce L. But keep in mind, I cannot reduce L below the technology limit because that cannot be fabricated. Okay, so to minimize the resistance, R is minimum if L equal to L min. And L min is the technology limit. So 65 nanometer L min is 65. 28 nanometer L min is 28 nanometer. Okay. And as you keep increasing length, your resistance is going to keep on increasing. And as you keep increasing the effective voltage, your resistance is going to reduce. And similarly, as you keep on increasing the width, your resistance is going to reduce. So especially in when you have to deliver a lot of current through a switch, you have to make this as large as possible and this at minimum. Okay, you cannot certainly go below minimum. Okay, so therefore this is an application. The MOSFET is used as a switch in sampling systems. So I want to sample a voltage onto a capacitor. Okay, so then I can use the MOSFET as a switch. I turn this on. It acts like a switch, samples the voltage on this. I can change the gate voltage to 0 so that there is no channel. Okay, and the transistor is in cutoff, and I disconnect the V in and V out so that it can be used as a switch. Now, how fast does this capacitor charge or discharge? How fast does it charge? It is defined by the RC time constant. So R is the resistance of the switch, and C is what you want the capacitor to be of whatever value you need it for some reason. So now, in order to make sure that it charges very quickly, you will minimize R. That means you will choose L equal to L min. Okay. W equal to as big as possible to get the desired R, and VGS minus V effective. What is the maximum value of VGS minus V? What is the maximum value of V effective? When VGS equal to VDD, the supply voltage. That's a maximum you can do. Okay, if you go above the supply voltage, you will damage the transistor. Okay, transistors are designed to have sustain a certain terminal voltages. So terminal voltages means these are designed to have certain voltage difference here and here. If you exceed those design voltages, then you will damage the oxide here. It will the capacitor. Imagine you take a capacitor which is rated to 5 volts. You apply 20 volts. It's gone. It burns out. Poof. And most of you would have damaged capacitors in the lab, also burnt out transistors in the lab because you exceed the rated capacity. Now, in saturation region, okay, in saturation region, the current is given by this expression. Okay, so current is independent of the drain source voltage, and therefore we can say that it acts like a current source like this. So this is how it behaves. Keep in mind, this is an ideal scenario. We'll analyze the next part. Any questions so far?
Sir, can you please repeat the last part which you told about the switches?
So when I want to realize a switch, what is a switch typically used for? Connecting and disconnecting something, right? When I'm connecting and disconnecting something, that something has some capacitance. Now that something that I'm connecting and disconnecting should reach the desired value as quickly as possible, means, and the rate at which this is getting charged is defined by the time constant of this circuit. And the time constant of the circuit is R times C. So if I want this to charge very quickly, I have to minimize R, because C is given. I mean, I cannot change the C because that is whatever the output has, whatever is connected over here, that has the capacitance. So all I can do is, as a designer, I can manipulate this resistance. Now, how can I manipulate this resistance? We have seen that I can minimize the resistance if I make L equal to L min. That one we have seen. I cannot go below that. Then to minimize resistance, I can increase W. And I should not make W infinitely large, because then I don't have space to fabricate it. So I'll choose so that it gets the right resistance. Okay. And I can maximize the VGS. The overdrive voltage has to be maximized. This I have no control on this. This is what your device guy has given. Okay. He has given you this. You now build with this. So what do you have control? You have control over the VGS. But what is the maximum value of VGS? Is equal to the supply voltage. Okay. If you exceed the supply voltage, you damage the transistor. Okay. So therefore you cannot exit. So now in order to minimize the resistance, you have the switch having minimum channel length. You apply the maximum gate source voltage, which is the supply voltage. And then what you do, you try to increase W until you hit the desired resistance that you want. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Our most important thing, a MOS is a symmetric device. Okay. Because if you look at this, you cannot say which is the source and the drain. They are identical, unlike a BJT. We'll discuss BJT. BJTs are not symmetrical devices. Okay, bipolar junction transistors. MOSFET is a perfectly symmetric device. Okay. So when the device guy is fabricating, he doesn't know how you are going to use it. He will fabricate it and give you these 4 terminals. Now you are free to use whichever way. Now in the lab, when you go, you buy a MOSFET will have 3 terminals. You will get a you will get a 3-terminal device. Now when that is given, that time the guy who fabricates it tells you which is the source and which is the drain, and I'll explain that later on. So it is a symmetrical device. Now the thing is that now the source and drain, so one terminal is called a source and the other is called a drain, depending on what voltages are connected to this. Okay. Now in case of an NMOS, source is connected to the lower of the 2. If this node is lower than this node, okay, then this side is the source and this side is the drain. If this node is lower than this node, then this side becomes a source and this side becomes a drain. So the source and drains get interchanged depending on what voltages are connected on the 2 terminals. The gate is fixed. Yeah, gate is defined and the body is defined. So that's why I say that voltage conditions define the source and drain. The lower of the 2 voltages becomes a source and the other the drain in case of an NMOS. In case of a PMOS, it's just the opposite. So the circuit symbol that we'll be using are either we can use this. Keep in mind in the symbol, this means this is the symbol for a capacitor. So between the gate and the substrate, there is a capacitor. So we draw it like this. Now this direction tells me which way is the PN junction connected between the body and the source and drain. So you can see that P and N. So this is the direction of this thing, and this is the drain. And now another notation that is commonly used is put an arrow on the source side. Okay, because the current flows from drain to source. Okay, what we will be using is mostly in our design, we'll be using this symbol. Okay, where we remove the body connection. Okay, so now let's get back to the context. When you are in the lab, you are given a transistor MOSFET with 3 terminals. When a MOSFET with 3 terminals is given, the manufacturer, what he does is he connects the body to one of the terminals. Whichever terminal the body is connected to, that becomes the source. Now that time the manufacturer, when the manufacturer gives you a 3-terminal MOSFET and not a 4-terminal MOSFET, then the source is clearly defined in that case. So this will become the source, this becomes the drain, and of course this is the gate. If the manufacturer gives you a 4-terminal device, you are free to use whichever way, with any of those two, any of them could be defined as source and drain. Okay, so please make a note of it, because in the lab, of course, I don't know how the lab is happening. It might be happening online, but physically you are not in the lab. There is a big difference between simulations and actually going to the lab and burning transistors. Okay, because unless you really fiddle with things and mess up, you won't learn a lot of the stuff. Just like you don't learn biking without really falling down. Am I clear with this?
Sir, in 3-terminal, which 3 are given to us?
Gate, source, and drain. 3 terminals will be body is connected to the source.
Okay.
Okay.
And in
The
circuit
body,
diagrams, body is like, okay, that part which you have connected.
body is this one. This is the body. Okay. So actual, I have shown you in the circuit diagram. You can go for this notation. This arrow into the transistor over here from the body shows that this is an NMOS, because it shows the direction of the PN junction.
So
Okay.
in the past, like when you told when it's like 4 terminals are given, how is it like we can join any 2 terminals? That part I didn't get.
So what I said is that if I buy if the manufacturer gives you a transistor with 4 terminals, so it gives you a black box, okay, with 4 terminals, it will tell you which is the gate. It will tell you which is the body. These two, it won't tell you which is source and drain. You're free to choose. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But if the manufacturer gives you a 3-terminal device, it will clearly tell you which is the source, which is the drain, which is the gate. Okay, because when he is giving you a 3-terminal device, what he has done is he has connected the body and the source together. Now, why does he connect the body and the source together? Keep in mind, I have to make sure that my PN junction over here and the PN junction over here, both of them are reverse biased. Am I right? And what did we say? Which is the source? The one at a lower potential with respect to the other is defined as a source. Okay, in an NMOS. Okay, so let me write it here. In an NMOS, V source is always less than the V drain. That means the node which has a lower potential will always become the source. Now, and in case of a PMOS, it's just the opposite. Okay, V source will be greater than the V drain. So that means the higher potential node will always become the source and the lower potential node becomes the drain. Now this is, now if when he is giving a 3-terminal device, if he does not connect the body to the source and he connects the body to the drain, then what happens? You forward bias this junction because drain can be higher with respect to source. And the substrate becomes higher, you boom, forward bias this diode, and you don't have a MOSFET anymore, you have a diode at that point. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions? So now there is another mode of operation. We call it a sub-threshold operation, region of operation. Here, when VGS is less than VT, we said the NMOS is off or in cutoff. Okay. In reality, some current does flow, although it is very, very small. This subthreshold region current is exponentially related to VGS. It is not relevant for this course at this point, but this mode of operation is used to design biomedical circuits, like pacemakers, implants, various implants. Because for these applications, battery life is very, very important. Okay. Battery life, so I have to minimize the amount of current. So in reality, some current flows, although it is very, very small. So for these kind of implantable devices, similarly for IoT devices, wherever you have battery necessity, you go for sub-threshold region of operation. In fact, most of the Bluetooth receivers also, if you see, some of the circuits in a Bluetooth receiver are also designed in sub-threshold operation, because Bluetooth is a very low speed means of communication and a very short range communication. Like your headphones and all, you see that they buy Bluetooth headphones that last a long time. How do they make it last a long time? They operate it in sub-threshold region. Pooja Venkata Santoshi, can you please mute yourself? Pooja Venkata Santoshi Anusha. I wish it's difficult to search through so many and go and manually mute them. Please try to make sure, please be attentive and this thing. So I have downloaded the first set of attendance right now. So let us, it's almost 55 minutes. So let us take a short break and we'll resume in 5 minutes.